life of its own every night. I know life passes by in the blink of an eye, so I open mine wide. I know hate is a lie, just a wound you can heal inside. I know hate is a lie, just a wound I can heal inside. And we will come to know this in the golden age. We'll rediscover who we were. You'll feel the love you held then. Your arms will open wide. We'll see a golden world occur. It's a race in the mind till we seek and we find what is true, what is kind. How we live, how we know, how we give, how we grow is a journey inside. Life is brief, life is long, it's a dance, it's a song, so sing. For the past is now gone, yet the future is here, begin. And we will come to know this in the golden age. We'll rediscover who we were. We'll feel the love we held then. Our arms will open wide. We'll see a golden world occur. So we live through another day, blind, holding to the faith that everything must change. So we live through another day, blind, holding to the faith that everything must change.
Emily, after the storm, getting trees, picking up things for Farmer McColl's farm that she needed to deliver, and she needed to learn the lesson of patience and consideration for others in her in her journey to help Farmer McColl clear up after the storm in Thomas and Friends. I just thought that ending melody, that ending little bit of that reminded me of that episode of Thomas and Friends. And indeed, that episode, I like to think that it was filmed in mid-spring. So that would be from April 20th onwards up until May 20th. You know, and then we walk into the kitchen and we get all Kevin. Meaning then we move to the later part of the May month. So, welcome to episode 5, or the 5th installment. I don't use the word, so let me think. 1, 2, 3. Oh yeah. Number 5. Let me think. Exciting, changes, adventure, huge, energy. Let's try this. Let's try that. It's big energy. That was all last year. This is the 6th year. 2022 is the 6th year when this is filmed and when this premieres. A 6th year is all about relationships, harmony, caring, healing in relationships. Follow my astrology channel. I talk about Venus retrograde. Changing things up in our relationships. And I could go on and on about that. But I think that you'll have to go over there to find information about that. So, this week, I thought since on the 14th of January, Mercury will go retrograde. I have a video about that, actually. I thought that the title of this video would be Get Grounded. Now, here's the deal. I just want to disclose right here and now that these videos, you can watch them anytime. You can watch them anytime. You may have to kind of get around the little bits where I may talk about this or that. And I'll try not to as much as possible. And the reason why I do this in this way is because I want to try to put several smaller things into one bigger thing that I can just listen to different parts of at one time. So that is why I do this. And it's over just the whole, October, November, I was really experimenting, getting oriented with how I wanted to do things, and then things changed. 2021 was the year for change and, getting rid of the things that don't serve you. And yeah, from the beginning until the end, I definitely changed in so many areas. And I'm sure that a lot of people also did as well, because of things getting better with COVID and new things opening up, restaurants, businesses, mask mandates were lifted. I mean, so much in the year. And January, I was watching, and we're gonna do the oracle cards later. If you see Colette Baron Reid, she has a monthly video, which she does about oracle reading. She said, don't just jump into it. It's not just a fresh, like, oh, I want to accomplish this, or I want to accomplish that. January is still about kind of cleaning things up and organizing, seeing what, just being receptive to what you want and how you feel about the certain thing, going with it, being open to it, not just, being so rigid like closing up, because nothing in life remains the same. I mean, things change. You might change how you do something. You might change how you view something. how you perceive something. So openness and acceptance of that variety is so important. Openness. Experimentation. Oh, I tried that. That doesn't really seem to work. Oh, I'll try this. And I'll just keep going around until I find something that works, and then, whoop-de-doo, I don't feel like that works for me anymore. Oh, well, give yourself permission to change it. Don't just go, oh, I've started already. It has to stay at this rigid structure. No, 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 and no. Yeah. So, that is what I want to just begin this podcast talking to you about, giving that wisdom onto you. So, this quote for this week says, essentially, in the Enchanted Map, I have a song on my official channel called The Map. This summer was very, very focused on oracle cards and spirituality. All about trying to, change your mindset, and they're not about, like, you look at an oracle card and, oh, I have to follow this. No. No, no, no. They're just suggestions. They're just like, okay, I'm connecting, I'm getting, advice, and I'm, just, that's something to think about. I want to think about and consider it, and not viewing it taking it so ultra seriously. So, one of the cards, and the reason why I bring that up is this week's quote. One of the cards in the Enchanted Map is flying, and the card is showing a horse or stallion creature, I don't know, something with wings, flying over this maze and labyrinth. If you flip it upside down, the definition of that card in the Enchanted Map Oracle deck says, get grounded. You can't just lift off. Planes can't just lift off. They have to get the fuel. They have to get, all the parts in. People have to be boarded. All these procedures, all of these types of things before you could have a successful flight, before a rocket could go into space, before, a bird, has to have fuel to lift itself. I mean, there's so many things, but getting grounded first, getting all those practical things done and accomplished, you can check those off your list, and then you can take off. Then you can soar beautifully. Don't just, oh, I'm so thrilled, and then you regret it later. Let the meat cool after it comes out of the grill. Let the steak rest after you're done cooking it, because when steak does not rest, when meat does not rest, check out my cooking channel, the juice runs out. The juice gets out of the meat, and you know what happens? Dry meat. Dry meat. So wait until it cools, wait until all the juice, wait until the salad ingredients get married before you can enjoy it. I mean, there's so many examples of this. So, the quote by J.R. Rim goes something like this. Flying starts from the ground. Doing this? So, flying this starts from the ground. The more grounded you are, the higher you fly. The more grounded you are, this can be just in general. The more grounded you are, the higher you fly. So, again, once you get all those practical things out of the way and you're at good peace of heart and mind, then you'll go higher. You're more grounded down to the earth and in the present moment. That'll really, really help you with so many things. So it starts from the ground. Being centered, being in the moment, being connected. That's what North Node in Taurus is about. If you're watching this during the transit from January 18th all the way up until July 18th of 2023. The nodes will be in Taurus and Scorpio. Taurus is all about the present moment. What you're seeing, what you're hearing, what you're tasting, what you're touching, what you're smelling. It's slow, it's calm, all of that. So, in May 1993, the poem Grounded by Deborah Tull was published. So, it goes something like this. The staccato slap of a door, my only answer. I opened a book I wasn't reading. The radio in its secret drawer. Chirped verboten dreams, a bee whirling in the hive of the heart. I was the stuff of honey, the flower flattened by rain. My name was mangled. See the doorway, etched in light. I proved light by shadows. I spelled myself love like a library book changed hands. Poetry speaks to the unspeakable. So, well, I think it's neat. I opened a book I wasn't reading, the radio in its secret drawer. And all that the book gave. So, the vision of sitting in a library, reading a book. So, the short story that we're going to be doing today is yet another, this week, whenever you're watching this week, on this episode, is yet another winter short story. It's called An Adventure with Wolves, and I'm going to read it to you. So it says, some 40 years ago, I passed the winter in the wilderness of northern Maine. I was passionately fond of skating and of numerous lakes and rivers, frozen by the intense cold, offered an ample field to the lure of this pastime. Sometimes my skating excursions were made by moonlight, and it was met by an adventurous recalling with a thrill, or without a thrill. I held out the cabin with the attention of the Kennebec, which door the night was of the full moon, and came glinting from encrushed branches as the eye followed for miles in the broad gleam of the river that was like a jeweled zone swept between the mighty forests and bordered its banks. And yet all was still. The cold seemed to have frozen tree, air, water, every living thing, even the ringing of my skates, echoed back from the hill with a startling clearness. And the crackle of the ice, as I passed over it in my course, seemed to follow the tide of the river with lightning speed. I had gone up the river nearly 2 miles when coming to a little stream which flows into the larger. I turned it into it explore its course. Fir and hemlock of a century's growth met overhead, and formed an archway radiant with frostwork. All was dark within, but I was young and fearless, and I laughed and shouted with excitement and joy. My wild hurrah rang through the silent woods, and I stood listening to the echoes until all was hushed. Suddenly a sound arose. It seemed to come from beneath the ice. It was low and tremulous at first, but it ended in one long wild howl. I was appalled. Never before had such a sound met my ears. Presently I heard the brushwood on shore crash as though from the head of some animal. The blood rushed to my forehead. My energies returned, and I looked around me for some means to escape. The moon shone through the opening at the mouth of the creek by which I had entered the forest, and considering this the best way to escape, I darted toward it like an arrow. It was hardly 100 yards distant, and the swallow could scarcely have excelled me in flight. Yet, as I turned my eyes to the shore, I could see several dark objects dashing through the brushwood at a pace nearly double the speed of my own. But by their great speed and the short yells which they occasionally gave, I knew at once that these were the much dreaded gray wolves. The bushes that skirted the shore now seemed to rush past with the velocity of lightning. As I dashed on in my flight to pass the narrow opening, the outlet was nearly gained. A few seconds more and I would be comparatively safe. But in a moment my pursuers appeared on the bank above me, which here rose to the height of 10 or 12 feet. There was no time for thought. I bent my head and dashed wildly forward. The wolves sprang, but miscalculating my speed, they fell behind as I glided out upon the river. I turned toward home. The light flakes of snow spun from the iron of my skates, and I was some distance from my pursuers when their fierce howl told me they were still in hot pursuit. I did not look back. I did not feel afraid or sorry or glad one thought of home, of the bright faces awaiting my return, and of their tears if they should never see me. And then all the energies of body and mind were exerted for escape. I was perfectly at home on the ice. Many were the days that I had spent on my good skates, never thinking that they would one day prove my only means of safety. Every half minute a furious yelp from my fierce attendants made me but too certain that they were in close pursuit. Nearer and nearer they came. At last, I heard their feet pattering on the ice. I even felt their very breath, and I heard their snuffing scent. Every nerve and muscle in my frame was strained to the utmost. The trees along the shore seemed to dance in an uncertain light. My brain turned with my own breathless speed. My pursuers hissed forth their breath with a sound truly horrible, when all at once the involuntary motion on my part turned me out of my course. The wolves close behind, unable to stop and as unable to turn on smooth ice, slipped and fell, still going on far ahead. Their tongues were lolling out, their white tusks were gleaming from their bloody mouths. Their dark, shaggy breasts were flecked with foam, and as they passed me their eyes glared and they howled with fury. The thought flashed on my mind that by turning aside, whenever they came too near, I might avoid them, for owing to the formation of their feet, they are unable to run on ice except in a straight line. I immediately acted upon this plan, but the wolves, having regained their feet, sprang directly toward me. The race was renewed for 20 yards up the stream. They were almost close at my back when I glided round and dashed directly past them. A fierce yell greeted this movement, and the wolves, slipping on their haunches, again slid onward, presenting a perfect picture of helplessness and disappointed rage. Thus, I gained nearly 100 yards at each turning. This was repeated 2 or 3 times, the baffled animals becoming every moment more and more excited. At one time, by delaying my turning too long, my bloodthirsty antagonists came so near that they threw their white foam over my coat as they sprang to seize me, and their teeth clashed together like the spring of a fox trap. Had my skates failed for one instant, had I tripped on a stick, or had my foot been caught in a fissure, the story I am now telling would never have been told. I thought over all the chances. I knew where they would first seize me if I fell. I thought how long it would be before I died, and then of the search for my body, for oh, how fast man's mind traces out all the dread colors of death's picture. Only those who have been near the grim original can tell. At last I came opposite the cabin, and my hounds, I knew their deep voices, roused by the noise, bayed furiously from their kennels. I heard their chains rattle. How I wished they would break them, that I should have protectors to match the fiercest dwellers of the forest. The wolves, taking the hint conveyed by the dogs, stopped in their mad career, and after a few moments turned and fled. I watched them until their forms disappeared over a neighboring hill. Then, taking off my skates, I wended my way to the cabin with feelings which may be better imagined than described. But even yet, I never see a broad sheet of ice by moonlight without thinking of that snuffing breath, and those ferocious beasts that followed me so closely down the frozen river. So that is what it takes for somebody to survive. You know, this is exactly where I said, because I want people to, when they watch this, have an experience where they can see it anytime. Yeah. So, I thought that for this week, we wouldn't do any, Oracle cards. So, thank you, for watching. Thank you for tuning in. And have a wonderful, week, and, stay well. Enjoy it.
I don't wanna fight you anymore. I'm happy to leave and even let's go. For life is so short and we both need much more. Now we're imploding, let's finish this war. And it was a red sky this morning. I didn't heed nature's warning. I'd become tired and long been hungry. But wasn't only you who forgot me. I couldn't find the light in me for so long. I lost rhyme and reason. I didn't belong. Journeyed round the darkest side of the sun. Now I've returned and those lessons are won. And it was a red sky this morning. I didn't heed nature's warning. I'd become tired and long been hungry. Wasn't only you who forgot me. How many wars? How many wars? How many wars must we climb? Must we it was a red sky this morning. I didn't heed nature's warning. I'd become tired, long been hungry. Wasn't only you who got me. Let's finish this. Let's finish this.